April 2000. I'm just a picture framer reading some cool books. Don't remember anything specific about April of 2000. Still working at Frame Art Galleries as a picture framer. May or may not be in Strongsville, or I may have gone to Westlake at this point. But it's frame art. And I did some reading. So let's jump into the books that I read in April of 2000. Coincidentally, the first book that I read in March of 2000 was Hellboy, Odd Jobs. So, hell. This is where the coincidence comes in. The first book that I read in April of 2000 is Hellstorm by James A. Moore. This is a World of Darkness werewolf book. Our main characters are Sean and Gabriel, a couple of guru, that's werewolves to you and me, who've gone to the casinos in the desert. I think we all know what we're talking about here. To get away from things, from werewolf politics, but the worm, I believe, the evil that the werewolves fight, have teamed up with mobsters to, make the world a worse place. Sean and Gabriel are going to get involved. This might very well be the first book by James A. Moore that I have read. I don't remember well enough all of the months preceding this. I don't recall if there's James A. Moore before this. This story is a sequel to a short story from the When Will You Rage anthology of werewolf stories. But not a bad introduction if you're not familiar with James A. Moore's work. He does have many, many better novels, but it's a good werewolf story. Next up, we have Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Xander Years, Volume 2, by Jeff Marriott. And this is, as with all the character years, novelization of 3 episodes of the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, one from each of the first 3 seasons. In this case, we have The Pack, which is an episode in which Xander and some bullies become possessed by hyenas because of some shenanigans that are going on. And the the most interesting thing I think about this episode, spoilers, is that the Pack, minus Xander, he wasn't there at the time, they kill and eat the Sunnydale High School principal. The second episode that's in here from season 2 is Go Fish, and something weird is going on with the Sunnydale High School swim team. So Xander joins to find out what's going on, and it deals with steroids and, again, spoilers, people turning into fish. And then the final episode is from season 3. It's called The Zeppo. And in this, while Buffy and the rest of the Scooby Gang are all out fighting evil and doing whatever, Xander is sort of on his own and stumbles into this great big evil that he is able to stop on his own. And I think the highlight from this episode is that he has a little tryst with Faith. She's all on a high. I think he and Faith end up fighting some vampires or something, and they rush back to her hotel room, and she's got the adrenaline pumping, and so Xander and Faith jump into bed together. And then she treats him like crap because she's Faith. It's typical of these books. Again, just a very, very straightforward novelization of these 3 episodes. If you're a fan of the show, fan of Xander, you'd enjoy this book. Then we have The Cleft and Other Odd Tales by Gahan Wilson. And it is basically, 24 short stories by the writer/artist. fantasy and horror stories. I think it leans more heavily into the horror. Gay and Wilson stuff is, especially his art, is that quirky sort of Addams Family style of dark humor. But I don't know that all of these stories are humorous. They might just be dark. But you should check out if you like weird, quirky, odd stories. Gay and Wilson stuff is really cool. We have The Poker Club by Ed Gorman. This is a story about a bunch of guys that get together for like a weekly poker game, and their game is invaded, essentially. An intruder shows up, and they end up accidentally killing this guy, and they're like, well, we'll just dump his body. No one needs to know. What they don't know is that guy had a friend who was waiting outside, saw everything, and now he wants revenge. It's an Ed Gorman thriller, which is almost always fun, and I liked this one. It's a good book. A lot of tension. What's going on, and who's really the good guy? Who are the bad guys? Who's the good guys? I mean, these dudes did kill. He's an intruder, but they did kill him and just dump his body. Excuse me. Next, we have Angel, Not Forgotten by Nancy Holder. This takes place in early first season Angel. It is an original story, but it's got Doyle. So, before spoilers, Doyle's death in the middle of season 1. And Angel Investigations is looking into people that are burning up from the inside out. So you know it must be something supernatural. Meanwhile, Cordelia is looking into child pickpockets. And of course, there's an adult. There's a bad guy who is holding these kids, immigrant parents, hostage. And there's going to be some ritual, because of course it's an angel show, so everybody's into worshiping demons and stuff. And I don't know, I've mentioned this before, there is an angel book that was written by Nancy Holder that was really, really, really good up until the very end, when Angel is fighting the demon, and it's simply like one paragraph that says, everything's building to this. It's the big fight at the end. And it simply says, Angel kicked and punched until the demon was defeated. One of the worst endings I've ever read. I don't know that that's this one. Anytime I come across a Nancy Holder penned angel novel, I wonder if that was the one. But she's a good writer. Her endings, man, they're not good. Then we have Dark Tyrants, edited by Justin Achille and Robert Hatch. This is an anthology of Vampire the Dark Ages stories. So just a whole bunch of different stories taking place in the Vampire the Dark Ages setting. And I looked on Amazon and Goodreads, which are the places I always look. I should have checked the White Wolf wiki, but I didn't find a list of authors who have stories in here. But if you're into vampires, especially sort of period piece vampires, these stories are usually pretty good. I followed that up with The Alleluia Files by Sharon Sheehan. This is the third book in her Samaria series, which is a science fiction fantasy series, a world where there are angels that communicate with the people. But there's a big twist in the first book that is given away by the back cover copy. And that sort of leads into where the stories will go. In this, there are these files, essentially, that will reveal the secrets of the gods of Samaria, and we have a character looking for them. We pretty much know the secrets already, although there may be secrets we don't know. But they're good books. They're fun. I'd give them like probably a 3.5 if Goodreads had been around. 3.5. I like them. can't say necessarily that I really liked them, but they're not bad. The penultimate book that I read in April of 2000. Please ignore the sounds that my phone is making. Penultimate book in April of 2000. The Crow, Clash by Night by Chet Williamson. And in this story, we have a crow person. You know what I mean. Someone who died in a bad way and is brought back by the crow, but has they've teamed up with this anti-violence woman, and but there's a terrorist organization that's going to blow up a daycare center, and so the crow and this woman are trying to stop them. You know things are going to get crazy and violent. And then finally, the last book that I read in April of 2000 is Clan Novel Toreador by Stuart Week, Wiek. Never know how to pronounce it. I'm going to say that every time. So Clan Novel Toreador is the first in a 13-book series that focuses on all the different clans in Vampire the Masquerade from the World of Darkness, White Wolf Publishing. And they're all going to tie together, but each one focuses on a different clan. And in this case, the Toreador, obviously. And we have this character who's a sculptor, a vampire and a sculptor who finds an object that people are after. But we've got all the sort of the world building that has to start here since it's the first novel. So we learn all about a bunch of the different clans. I don't remember if it's all of them. And the battle between the Camarilla, which is the official organization of vampires, and the Sabbats, which are the sort of the vampires that think humans are just cattle and vampires should rule the world. And it all sort of starts here, this epic that's going to focus on each clan, but all sort of tie together to tell one big giant story. And I loved the covers of these books, and you're going to see at some point, I don't know exactly when, there's going to be like 6 or 7 of these in a row. But just glancing at my notebook here, I don't see that. I do see a lot of series and things. It's going to be an interesting few months, I think. Weeks in real time. But we'll see. We'll see what you think. But that's it. That's what I read in April of 2000. And, man, looking at these titles, there is no question that comes to mind. I suppose... No, forget that. That's a dumb question. Have we talked about The Crow? Let's make that the question of that. Not that specifically. That's not the literal question. Have we talked about The Crow? Are you familiar with The Crow franchise? Have you... I really feel like we've talked about this. Have you read any of the comics? Have you seen any of the movies or the TV series? What do you think? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? As for me, I'm a fan, not a super fan. There's a lot of Crow stuff. As a matter of fact, I have very little Crow stuff, a very small amount of Crow stuff. I read the comic when it was relatively new, not as soon as it had come out, but maybe the first printing of the collected edition. I actually got to meet James O'Barr, the creator. Got an original sketch from him and was very excited to see the movie. I love the movie. Great soundtrack. Very gothic, very tragic. What happened during the movie. I've obviously read some of the novels. I don't actually have the original comic anymore, or any form of it, but I do have 1 or 2 one-shots, I believe. I know I have at least one. I feel like I might have more than one. So I find it's an interesting mythos that was created by James O'Barr. And so, yes, I'm a fan. I saw the first 3 movies. I know I've seen the first 2 multiple times. I own a copy of the first one. Feel like I've seen the third one, and I've never seen the TV show. Um, but that's just one of those things. I just don't always see everything, even if I'm a fan. What about you? Have you read the comics? Have you seen movies, TV show, any of that? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Um, let me know have you read any of the books? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. And if you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. I needed to take a breath. Excuse me. And if you're on Blue Sky, I am @EL Smith. I think that's all I've got. So until next time, read more books.